how can I control real estate without having to own it, without having to come up with a down payment, to go through the underwriting process, to get a loan approved? I want to just jump over all those steps and I want to control a piece of property so I can start making some money. So how do you do that? Let me show you how.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So how do I make money in real estate without having to go through all these processes and drop all this money on a property? I just want to control it and I just want to start making some monthly cash flow on it. How about if you do something called rental arbitrage? Okay, that's me going to a landlord or an owner of a building, renting it out from them for, let's say, $1,800 a month, and then I furnish the place and make it look nice, and I put it up on Airbnb as a short-term rental, and let's say at the end of the month I produce $2,800 a month. The difference between the $1,800 and the $2,800 is the arbitrage, and in this case we're talking about rentals. So rental arbitrage is exactly that, and you don't need to own the property. What you do need to get is permission from the landlord to do this. That's probably the hardest part. But once you get that permission and you can put it up on Airbnb, you're going to start making money really quick. And you only need the money to furnish the apartment. There's no loans, there's no down payment, there's none of that. You can negotiate with the landlord with any terms that you like. Typically, it's a year lease, but it could be more, it could be less. You could even split the profits with the landlord and make it a partnership if you'd like. This rental arbitrage strategy is how I first started with my Airbnb business. It started as one unit. I used a couple of $1,000s to get into it, and now it's grown into several units, and it's a six-figure business. I want to share with you some pros and cons to using this strategy so you're aware of it, and then we'll dive into my first deal so that you can get an idea of what the numbers look like. So if you're going to do this, you don't have to worry about any ownership headaches, right? There's no taxes that need to be paid on time, no major roof repairs, like the big ticket items the owner's going to take care of, right? The other great thing is little money to start, right? You're only going to need a couple of $1,000s to furnish the apartment. There's no down payment, there's no big loan, none of that. You have less liability because if something major happens on the property, it's most likely going to fall on the owner's shoulders. That's also going to go hand in hand with less risk, but there's also less risk because you're not signing a 30-year, 20-year mortgage. You're doing a year lease, maybe a 2-year lease. So if you can't meet your obligations or you don't want to do it anymore, you just do not renew the lease after that. Now, the bad thing is that you don't get any tax benefits because you don't own the property. You also do not build any equity. So over the years, if the value of the building goes up, you're not going to be able to capitalize on those huge sales. You can't do any big building modifications unless you get the permission from the landlord, but most likely you can't do anything major to the building. And then you don't have any control over the owner's decisions. So if he decides he wants to sell the property tomorrow, and now you have to deal with a new owner and see if he's okay with what you're doing on the property, you really don't have too much say with that. So let's go through my first deal together. This was a 1-bed, 1-bath apartment that I was able to secure for an investment of about $10,000. That includes the furnishings, the first month's rent, and the security. All right, the monthly rent was negotiated at $1,800 a month. Utilities were on average $300 a month. Cleanings are going to depend on where you are and what you can negotiate as a cleaning price, but there are a lot of cleanings because there's turnovers, there's new guests coming in and guests going out quite frequently. So this can vary quite a bit, but let's say it's about $400 a month. That'll bring a total to about $2,500 a month in expenses. The first month's income was about $3,500 a month. So that leaves us with a profit of a difference between $3,500 and $2,500. The difference is $1,000 for that first month. Now, is that good or is that bad? It really is all relative and it depends on your goals, right? $1,000 a month is a significant amount for most people. But it also depends on how much you invested into it. So if I invested $1 million and I only got $1,000 that first month, then I would say that's probably not the best investment. But since we've only put in about $10,000 and we got out already on the first month, 1,000 back, then that's a pretty good investment. If we wanted to know exactly how that looks in a percentage, then we'd calculate what's called return on investment, or ROI. So how do we calculate that? We take the profit that we get every month for a year times 12 months in a year, and we get $12,000 in the year. We divide that by our initial investment of $10,000, and we get 1.2. And then we take that number, times it by 100, and that gives us a percent of 120%. So our return on investment is 120% in the first year. A typical 401k or stock market investment into an index fund will give you somewhere around 10%, maybe 8 to 10%. So for you to do 120% in a year on a $10,000 investment is a very, very good investment. So this gives you an idea of what is possible with rental arbitrage. And mind you, this was my first deal. So if I can do this, I know you guys can do this. It's very, very possible. And this was all done in my free time. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you got anything of value from the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'll be happy to answer them. Share this with any friends or family that you think can get something from it. I want to try to help as much as possible. And like I said, if you have any questions, I'm here. So I'll see you guys next time, and thanks again.